Hey, Hawkeye fans. Chad Leistikow of the Des Moines Register, Tyler Tachman of the Des Moines Register. It is now Sunday morning, 12:20 a.m. Tyler, recapping Iowa's 47-7 victory over UMass. Kirk Ferentz's 206th win as a Big Ten head coach, surpassing Woody Hayes, as you guys all know by now, for number one all-time in Big Ten history. Obviously, I think we should start with Kirk Ferentz. We'll get into the game here in a minute, but yeah, pretty special night. I think we kind of talked about it ahead of time. It's going to be kind of anticlimactic against UMass or whatever. You'd love to do it against Iowa State if you're a Hawkeye fan, but nonetheless, whenever it happened, it was going to be a pretty special moment, and you really feel like, I feel like it was really appreciated by all the fans here.
Yeah, this is truly Hawk Central after dark. There's no doubt about that. We actually we're in the press box and the lights turned off a couple of times, so we were kind of in the dark. But
yeah, that could happen any moment here. They just keep going off.
So bear with us.
I don't know what happens after midnight here, but
if you're watching this live, thank you. And
yeah,
if you're in here live, because this is obviously very early in the morning, so.
No comments on Ferentz? I mean, come on.
Oh,
Tyler.
no, I do. I was just prefacing it with that. No, it was a cool scene after the game where Kirk Ferentz was being interviewed on the field, but all the stadium at the Kinnick Stadium crowd could hear what he was saying. It was being kind of blasted out to the stadium, and then the entire team waited and was watching. So it was a cool scene. And then Kirk Ferentz swarms off of the field with the team. He said that was the first time he had done that. And then there was some cool scenes with Lisa Bluter and his wife, Mary. So there was, I feel like it was rightfully appreciated after the game. He also got a bath of orange Powerade. I think
we did clarify Gatorade. It was orange.
Was it Powerade or Gatorade?
Yeah, they're a Powerade school. Yeah,
but but anyways, it was a cool scene after the game. Just between the players, former players, coaching staff members, family, stuff of that nature.
Yeah, one of the things I wrote about in my instant column, which ended up being longer than I anticipated, but he's had a pretty unbelievable career at Iowa, is that at 206 now he passes Woody Hayes. I mean, the names below him are Amos Alonzo Stagg, Bo Schembechler, Joe Paterno, Hayden Fry. I mean, so that's a pretty distinctive top 5 and 6 there. And there's just if you go down further on the list, Tyler, just to put it in perspective, James Franklin's been at Penn State since 15? And he's at or maybe it's 14. Anyway, he's at 103, and Brett Bielema, he coached at Wisconsin forever. Now he's at Illinois. They're winning a bunch of games. He's at 98, So these guys would have to stay at their schools and win 8 to 10 games a year for 10, 15 years to even get in the vicinity of where Ferentz is. And that just doesn't happen anymore in today's age of college football. So I think there's a pretty good case to be made that Dargan says 2014 was playing his first year. So this is his 12th year. He's he's doing, just fine at Penn State. There's more games than ever now with the playoff. He's at 103, So he's half of where Ferentz is right now. And it's just, I just don't know if anyone's ever going to pass him. I don't see a scenario in which a coach stays. I mean, it may happen someday, but very unrealistic that they're definitely not going to have. It's definitely not going to happen anytime in the near future that Ferentz is ever going to not be one. And that's pretty cool to have, if you're a Hawkeye fan, the number one coach in Big Ten history is Kirk Ferentz.
And someone had asked Kirk at Big Ten Media Days this past summer, had asked him what advice would you have to James Franklin to try to break that record and have that type of longevity to last 27 seasons. And Kirk was just I just don't think it's going to happen these days, because you think about how quickly, Lincoln Riley leaving Oklahoma for USC. It's whether it's the decision of the institution or the decision of the coach, it has to be mutual. And for the fact that for so long those two have been aligned at Iowa is, it's remarkable, regardless of how you feel about Kirk Ferentz at this point, what you view the future of the program, as it's just very unique for someone to be at one place for so long.
Yeah, and it was cool. His wife Mary gives him the game ball in the tunnel. His daughters Kelly and Joanne were down there as well. Obviously, his 3 sons are working elsewhere, so they couldn't be here. But definitely a special moment. Ferentz doesn't want the attention. I thought he did a good job, his press conference kind of framing it. He was very grateful, okay? And obviously, he allowed the players to celebrate him, but obviously he wants to, say I'm in this open air press box part. For some reason, I picked this room with like windows open, so now all these bugs are just coming in where the lights are.
I see the moss kind of in the background.
They're just like, what is going on? This after midnight stuff. Anyway, he wants to focus back on to the games now, and so let's do that. Iowa heads into Big Ten play with Rutgers on Friday. But 6 days from right now, and it's you feel like this team took a step forward. I mean, they threw the ball for 234 yards, so it's something, right?
Yeah, I think this was the offense that you wanted to see against UAlbany, like the passing game, where it wasn't. I mean, they weren't lighting the world on fire, but it just looked a lot cleaner, a lot better, more explosive than it has at any point this season. And I think there's a lot of caveats you can put to a performance like this. Like, it's UMass. Bryant threw for over 300 yards last week against UMass. But at this point, it's like Iowa's passing game and offense, just take the wins where you get them. And I think any progress is meaningful progress. And that's kind of how I view this game, where, the very first drive, it took Iowa all of 3 plays to score a touchdown. You finally see that kind of deeper, explosive play to Sam Phillips. That was a good sign. And then the very next play, hitting Seth Anderson for a touchdown. This was the most comfortable Mark Gronowski had looked in his Iowa career. And you think back to just like the last time he played in this stadium, which was not very long ago, but how different he looked and how shaky, and the nerves had gotten to him. And he looked a lot more like the part, and he looked more of the part, more of what you would expect him to look like. And when, there's all this optimism and stuff of him entering the season, like he looked as close to that as he has at any point in his Iowa career. And again, he's going to have to show that in Big Ten play. There's no guarantees moving forward. Now you're done with non-conference play, starting, at Big Ten play with Rutgers. But it was the best, I thought, Mark Gronowski, most comfortable he has looked so far.
Yeah, he finishes 16 for 24 for 179 yards, 2 touchdowns, had lots of drops. Again, that's something that's definitely continuing. The receivers played better than they did last week, but still there were some drops. I mean, Parker had one, Voname had one, Anderson had one. Parker had more than one. Did he have 3? He at least had 2.
Multiple, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, so there was still some hiccups there, I feel like, but they're working on their timing. I get that, but still, you would have liked to seen that cleaned up. But this is kind of also who I thought Gronowski was going to be. I didn't think he was going to be the world's greatest passer, but he has a strong arm and he makes some good throws. The guys kind of have to be open for him, so that's we'll see how that works in Big Ten play. But there he goes again. He rushed for another touchdown. He's rushed for a touchdown in every game now this year for the Hawkeyes. He had a 13-yarder. And how about this stat, Tyler? The Hawkeyes punted once. Only once. That's how good the offense was, and it was blocked.
Yeah, I was going to say, did that even count as a punt?
No, yeah. It goes down as a team punt, so it does not work against Reese Dakin's average. So Reese Dakin does not appear in the box score. But that's how UMass got its only points of the game. UMass held to 119 yards, and it was an ugly looking 119 yards. So 435 for Iowa on offense. They would have had more, but Caden Weech and Tyler took away a few possessions, or at least a possession with a 95-yard punt return touchdown. He was incredible. MVP for the night, right?
Yeah, well, it was a hot and cold day for Iowa special teams, and he was the hot part of it with that return. Now 2 punt return touchdowns in his Iowa career. Now this season he had a rushing touchdown against UMass and also the punt return touchdown, and he caught one against UAlbany. So that's 3 different ways he scored touchdowns so far this season. But there was some pretty ugly on special teams as well. Drew Stevens missed an extra point, and he drills a 50-plus yarder and then misses one from much closer in. I don't know the specifics of, it's a unit in terms of the field goal. I don't know, having to look back at it, whether the snap, hold, all that stuff was where, Iowa wanted it to be. But and then the block punt, it's like that's the type of stuff that Iowa can get away with against an opponent like UMass and still win really comfortably. But you go on the road to Rutgers, you play Indiana at home, like those are the types of things that I was going to have to clean up in order to win. To leave 4 points on the board in the kicking game, and then also have a punt block, those are the types of mistakes that I was going to have to clean up in short order here.
Nathan Mertz, I think, I don't know how you pronounce it, but he says in the comments, they did what they were supposed to do against an opponent like this. We usually don't, so that was huge. And I think that's echoing kind of what Tyler said there, Nathan, about, kind of thought you might see this against UAlbany. Probably similar caliber of opponent, I would say. I mean, honestly, I think Albany would give these guys a pretty good game. Obviously felt terrible for TJ McGee, the young man for UMass who was carted off and hospitalized on Caden Weechen's touchdown return. Encouraging updates from the folks at UMass that he was awake and moving his extremities, so that's a good sign. Kirk Ferentz also said the updates he had were positive anyway, so at least we hope obviously that he's going to be okay. That was tough to watch on that. Let's just quickly talk about, is Iowa ready for Big Ten play? And let's start at running back, because another injury tonight. Xavier Williams goes out with a right arm or shoulder injury. His right arm was in a sling walking up the tunnel. While I was getting video for Ferentz, I did notice that. But at the same time, Nathan McNeil ends up being Iowa's leading rusher, 10 carries for 56 yards. I mean, it was all late, but that guy looks good, man. I would keep him in the mix. And Jazzy and Patterson got more of a workload, 10 carries, 54 yards. Xavier Williams, until he got hurt, was the number one back. So Terrell Washington, it was a personnel decision, Tyler, that Terrell Washington Jr. got bumped down the pecking order behind Williams and Patterson for this one. And then I thought McNeil looked better. And then on top of that, some good news potentially next week at Rutgers in the running back room.
Yeah, possibly, or there's a chance. Kirk Ferentz said that Kamari Moulton's back, which would obviously be a good development in that room, given that he was your starting running back to start the season. But I think outside of the garbage time, the last 2 games, like pretty clearly the best running back has been Jazzy and Patterson. I felt like he ran the best against Iowa State. I also feel like he ran well against UMass. I've been a pretty big advocate of Nathan McNeil. We haven't really seen him in non-garbage time play yet, but depending on Kamari Moulton's availability, like that room has taken some pretty significant hits early in the season. And no, I think Jazz Patterson, to me, he's been the last 2 games, he's been Iowa's best running back, especially in that Iowa State game. I felt like he was running really well. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I wasn't overly impressed with Iowa's running game against UMass. I think what they're still lacking is that home run, to be able to hit that home run, which is what Caleb Johnson, really bring. And I feel like Iowa's still trying to find that. But what made up for that was Iowa getting more footing in the passing game. So I think that kind of alleviates some of the need to hit those really long runs in the running game when you're able to move the ball downfield in bigger chunks with the passing game.
Yeah, the longest run for the game for Iowa was Caden Weechen's 20-yard reverse, so that wasn't a running back. Nathan McNeil was second with a 17-yarder. That was obviously very late. And then the third longest was Mark Gronowski's touchdown, 13 yards. So Patterson's long was 11. Williams Long was 9. So you're right. They're not hit. The holes are there. They're just not the home run guys. And I wonder if Moulton could be that guy. We saw that against Maryland last year. That 68-yard touchdown run late. And everybody, Liddell Betts, et cetera, have been raving about Moulton. So that would be great news for the Hawkeyes to get him back this coming week. How about the receiver core, Tyler? I felt like Sam Phillips and Seth Anderson needed to have good games, and they did have pretty good games. Seth Anderson with 2 touchdowns. Sam Phillips with 75 yards receiving. Anything jump out to you like individually on the receiving game outside of Weechin, obviously?
Not really. I mean,
Okay.
I mean,
tight ends were again pretty non-existent, but we kind of expected that without Ostrenga.
Yeah, Ortworth did a little bit, if I recall. But yeah, I think Mark Gronowski. Mark Gronowski needs it echoes what I felt like after the Iowa State game is like Mark Gronowski's going to need some more help around him. Like he's putting the ball at least the last 2 weeks in pretty good places. Like he's going to need more help around him. And what I was just going to mention is I feel like, I mean, we haven't even gotten to the defense yet, but like,
oh yeah,
Iowa's defense was very good again, and they've allowed 3 touchdowns so far in 3 games this season. Only one of them has come that when the opponent didn't start in Iowa territory. Because if you think about against Iowa State, it came off the Mark Gronowski pick. Today or yesterday now against UMass, it came off the block punt where they started really
21.
close.
Yeah.
So the only touchdown Iowa's defense has given up where the team started in their own territory was Albany. So
that's a great point.
Credit. I mean, with a defense with some new faces on him, you were trying to get a feel for him. Like I feel like that unit has been, has met and probably exceeded my expectations at least through 3 games so far this season. And the defensive line played really well. Max Llewellyn with 2 sacks. They finally kind of boosted their stats, inflated their stats a little bit. But overall, I feel like that unit has been very, very solid to start the season.
Yeah, and Iowa goes 10 for 16 on third down on offense, and on defense, UMass goes 0 for 10. So third down defense is always good. I think Iowa's got some things. I mean, it's UMass. We're not trying to say any grand takeaways here, but again, like Nathan said in the chat, you wanted to see them take care of business in this type of situation, and they did. So the Hawkeyes improved to 2-1. Let's get to some 3-word headlines. It's funny, after a loss, there's probably, I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. There were probably 8 times more 3-word headlines after a loss than a win. So people are, it's just how it goes. People are fired up after a loss, but after winning against UMass, you understand. Cody Hills, that's much better. Hawkerella, that was fun. Matt Winchester, Big Ten's best. Joe Hugan, Big Ten legend. Small cap value opportunities. It was UMass. A lot of thank you Kirks in here. How about this one? Organic Orange says Nathan McNeil season. So he's on your train there, Tyler.
That's what I've been saying, man. Since Kids Day, I've been ready since Kids Day. So.
He's looked good every time we've seen him. He has. Yeah, I'm with you. What are you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say. You asked before, is Iowa ready for Big Ten play?
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, I don't feel greatly confident about it, to be honest. Like, I mean, we don't really know how good Iowa State is still. Like, Iowa State might not be that great because they barely got by Kansas State, who is not very good. They slipped by Arkansas on the road against Arkansas State this weekend. I mean, Iowa, I don't know. I'm interested to see how you go on the road against a Rutgers team that's like okay, probably, and see how they fare. Like I don't feel super confident based on the last 3 weeks. So, but I mean, regardless of whether they're ready or not, it's about to be here. So
yeah, well, they got to win this one. I feel like against Rutgers to set up some potential, drama. 2 weeks from now against Indiana. Indiana beat Indiana State last night, 73-0. 73-0.
That's not even worth. I don't even know
Indiana
why they
State?
play
Is
the
Indiana
game.
State worse than UMass?
I don't understand why Indiana even plays that game, but whatever.
Yeah. What was I going to say here? Oh wow, Notre Dame lost, huh? Did Rutgers play today? They must have, right? Sorry. What else? Anything else? They could have had 50 if they didn't just take a. They could have kicked a field goal to get to 50. I wish they would have let the freshman kicker try a field goal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So speaking of freshmen, Yosei Epinesa, and he got some
He did
action
play.
late in
That's
the
right.
game. You asked Jay Neiman about that, and there you go. Just
Yeah.
wave of
Jay
the
Neiman
wand,
had it.
and there it
Yeah.
is.
He responded.
But still, okay, so the one thing about Iowa's defense, though, still no takeaways through 3
Yeah.
games.
Wow.
And,
Unbelievable, isn't
and
it?
2 of the opponents are like severely overmatched, you know. And so
Right.
I was generated 1 takeaway through 3 games. It was on special teams on the muff punt by Iowa State, but the defense, no picks, no recovered fumbles, nothing like that. And maybe they're saving. Maybe water will find its level in the Big Ten play when, you know, maybe they'll come in bunches, but like that's the one thing that concerns me about Iowa's defense so far is that lack of being able to generate turnovers.
Yeah. Man, a lot of good 3-word headlines. I mean, a lot of praising Kirk, certainly. Beth Roberts, Kirk's the man. David Johnson, Kirk Gronowski looked mid. That's a term my daughter uses. Mid every time. How was your day? Mid.
Do
How
you know
was
what
your
I
lunch?
mean?
Mid. Yeah, just kind of average. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm just
Yeah.
making sure you're up with
Yeah.
the
But I mean, what did you think about that? I mean, he looked okay. I mean, I'm not saying he looked great, but he looked good.
Well, my point is I think that's a compliment. Like, and I'm not even trying to like make that sound like a backhanded but like if you say Mark Gronowski looked okay, to me that's progress because he was not okay against Albany. He was better against Iowa State, but
Yeah,
I
he's
think you
getting
kind
better.
of see he's taken steps each week, and that wasn't really difficult because week 1 was not good at all. But you've seen that he's gotten better every week, which you can't ask for a whole lot more after that week 1 performance. So I think that to say he's okay, like that's a compliment. Like
Iowa will take okay, everybody.
exactly.
Iowa will take mid.
And he didn't turn the ball over. There's that one really questionable decision he made where he fumbled the ball out of bounds. Like that was probably
Got to throw that away. Yeah.
that was his like worst play of the game. But other than that, like I don't know if there's a whole lot of plays you go back and like he should have done this drastically different. Like I feel like he made good decisions. The touchdown run was pretty impressive for him to keep his balance and get in there.
It was.
So I thought, Mark Gronowski was okay. I'm taking that 10 times out of 10 moving forward.
All right. Real quick, Andy Moses says hello from South Australia, originally from Central Iowa. Go Hawks and congrats to Kirks. We are reaching down under.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What time is it there? Is it?
I have no idea. Maybe he'll tell us.
Is
in
it
the
Sunday?
chat.
It's got to be
Let's ask Reese
Sunday
Dakin.
morning or something. Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, so Rutgers beat Norfolk State 60-10 today. 60-10. So the Rutgers also beat up on somebody. So there we go.
He says 3:13 p.m.
3:13
on Sunday.
I know, but it's like
is that right?
12:43 a.m.
Sunday afternoon. That's crazy, man.
Sunday afternoon. Okay. So we're all in Sunday. It's all Sunday. All right, we better get going then. All right, thanks for listening. Tyler Tachman, Chad Leistikow. We'll both have news stories up around 6 a.m. tomorrow or today. Got to go write it
there
now.
You go.
So, all right, take care, guys. Thanks.